In a world where magic flows like rivers through the earth, a young boy named Lloyd stumbled upon a destiny far greater than he could have imagined. His story begins in the crumbling remnants of a ruined city, where he was found alone and trembling by a powerful sorceress named Meryl. She saw something in the frightened boy, a spark of potential, and took him under her wing to teach him the ways of magic. Meryl was a stern master, her lessons as unyielding as the elements she commanded. She began with fire magic, conjuring a blazing flame before Lloyd's wide eyes. "If you can't do this by sundown," she declared, "you'll go hungry tonight." Lloyd struggled, his small hands trembling as he tried to summon even a flicker. When he finally produced a tiny ember, Meryl scoffed. With a flick of her wrist, she unleashed a torrent of fire that singed his clothes. "This," she said, her voice sharp, "is fire magic." Next came water. Meryl demonstrated, weaving liquid into graceful arcs. Lloyd tried to mimic her, but his efforts were clumsy. With a smirk, Meryl summoned a wave that drenched him from head to toe. "This is water magic," she said as he sputtered, soaked and shivering. When Lloyd attempted wind magic, he managed a faint breeze. Proud of his progress, Meryl, unimpressed, blew a gust from her lips that sent him tumbling through the air. "That's wind magic," she said, her tone dripping with disdain. Undeterred, Lloyd crafted a delicate figure of Meryl out of ice, hoping to earn her approval. She smirked, seized the figure, and expanded it into a towering sculpture. "Novice," she muttered, dropping him from its icy grip. Lloyd, bruised but determined, promised to work harder. Meryl's stern expression softened into a rare smile. One evening, after Meryl had indulged too much in drink, Lloyd used healing magic to ease her discomfort. She woke, clear-headed, and pulled him into a warm embrace, thanking him. But her gratitude was fleeting. Moments later, she dragged him outside to practice more magic, ignoring his groans of protest. Time passed, and one fateful evening, Meryl was troubled over a mysterious box containing a forbidden magic book. Lloyd knocked on her door, calling out that dinner was ready. As Meryl tried to close the box, it slipped from her grasp and fell. Lloyd, ever helpful, reached to pick it up. The moment his fingers brushed the book, a surge of ancient knowledge flooded his mind, overwhelming him. He collapsed, unconscious. Meryl retrieved the book, her face grave. "This boy," she murmured, "has the qualities of the chosen one." She carried him to his bed, her mind racing. She wouldn't let Lloyd repeat her mistakes. Leaning down, she kissed his forehead, sealing his newfound power to protect him. The next morning, Meryl taught Lloyd about white mages, showing him recovery magic used to aid others. Lloyd watched in awe, marveling. "Master is so powerful." That night, she spoke of monsters, her voice steady until Lloyd asked about ancient magic. Her expression darkened, and she snapped, "You don't need to learn that. It vanished centuries ago." The following day, Lloyd attempted to summon his wand, but his movements were slow. Meryl struck him lightly, scolding, "Don't neglect your training." Later, she explained magic stones, artifacts that could transform objects around them into sources of power. Years passed, and Lloyd grew into a young man. Meryl, ever the demanding mentor, took him to a dense forest, handed him a knife, and said, "Get home within a week." Then she left, alone. Lloyd faced a monster and fled, climbing a tree to escape its claws. Panting, he muttered, "White mage magic can't defeat monsters. I have to run." He wandered, using recovery magic to make fruit edible and hiding in caves to avoid predators. Day and night, he honed his detection magic, ate monster meat, and crafted new spells. One day, a massive spider dropped from above, its legs skittering. Sweat poured down Lloyd's face as he ran, the creature in pursuit. Desperate, he cast a spell to boost his speed, narrowly escaping. After days of struggle, Lloyd reached home. While cleaning, he found a book about a nearby town and asked Meryl to borrow it. She agreed. Later, she burst in, declaring, "Let's develop magic to stop aging," and dragged him outside. Another day, while he was doing laundry, she insisted he help improve recovery magic, pulling him inside. At dinner, she unveiled a new spell, but Lloyd's exhaustion showed. She kept him awake all night, relentless in her pursuit of progress. The next morning, Meryl found Lloyd's room empty. The book she'd lent him lay on his bed, and worrying gripped her. Lloyd, meanwhile, had ventured to a bustling town. The sight of so many people left him awestruck. He used his only coins to buy bread, but before he could eat, a paper flew into his face, someone smiled, and walked away. The paper advertised a call for adventurers. In the town, a hero's party battled a cyclops, its massive club demolishing buildings. Lloyd watched, mesmerized. When the healer prepared to mend the wounded, Lloyd instinctively cast a buff, empowering the entire party. The archer struck the cyclops' eye. The tanker blocked a blow, surprised at its reduced force, and the mage bound the beast with magic. The hero delivered the final strike. The townsfolk praised the hero, but the tanker knew Lloyd's support magic had turned the tide. The hero tossed Lloyd 5 coins, calling it a D-rank reward. When invited to celebrate, Lloyd declined, unable to drink. The mage bristled at his attitude, and the hero scoffed, "White mages can't help in battle." The tanker, however, saw Lloyd's worth. That night, Meryl drank alone until a guest arrived, Will, a man from her past. He revealed that Lloyd had joined the hero's party. Meryl nodded, admitting she'd orchestrated it. "It's time for him to see the world," she said. "As long as he doesn't grow arrogant with his power." Will asked if she still regretted her past. Her lips tightened. "I won't make the same mistake," she vowed. Will recounted a dark memory. A demon lord, desperate to seize the forbidden magic book, had nearly destroyed everything in a self-destructive blast. From afar, Will had watched as Sybil, a white mage, used ancient magic to revive those slain by the demon lord at the cost of his own life. In a stunning twist, it's revealed that Lloyd is the reincarnation of Sybil, the hero who saved the world. In the present, a street storyteller wove tales of the hero's party, claiming heroes were chosen by a holy sword. This time, it was Alan. During a battle with a minotaur, Alan struggled until Lloyd's buffs lightened the tanker's shield and empowered the team. The mage bound the beast, and Alan defeated it. Later, the tanker, studying defense, confided to Alan that her shield felt strange lately. "I feel stronger," Alan bragged, dismissing training. The tanker frowned, troubled by his arrogance. When a golem attacked soldiers, the hero's party was summoned. Alan boasted it would be easy. At the site, no golem was found, but Lloyd's detection magic led them to its lair. Alan defeated one golem, but another emerged. Lloyd spotted a demon wielding a magic stone, controlling the golems. He explained its power to the party, buffed Lulu, and instructed her to strike the demon. She smashed it through a wall. Lloyd ordered Mia to retrieve the demon's staff, which she teleported to him. Lloyd sealed it instantly, furious at taking orders. Alan ignored Lloyd's warning and charged the remaining golem. Lloyd teleported to push Alan aside, saving him, but Alan, enraged, expelled Lloyd from the party, calling him useless and an eyesore. Lloyd left, head bowed, believing he lacked skill. The others rejoiced, but the tanker was heartbroken. Lloyd tried joining other parties but was rejected. Feeling defeated, he overheard someone seeking an unaffiliated white mage by morning, a task deemed impossible due to her condition. She spotted Lloyd and, desperate, dragged him to join her party, pulling him into a new adventure. In a vivid flashback, the S-rank adventuring party, renowned for their prowess, embarked on an rank quest to dismantle a notorious bandit hideout. Brimming with confidence, the team consisting of the fierce leader Louis, the stalwart tanker Dagus, the precise archer Cross, the fiery mage Silica, and the supportive white mage Clum charged into the fray. However, Clum seemed distracted, her mind elsewhere as the battle began. Silica unleashed a blazing fireball, triggering a massive explosion that rattled the hideout, while Cross provided cover with a hail of arrows. Louis led the charge on the front line, her sword flashing, as Dagus shielded her from incoming blows. When Dagus struggled against a particularly fierce bandit, Clum's buff spell bolstered him, allowing him to hurl his opponent aside with newfound strength. Hidden in the shadows, the bandit leader watched in horror, awestruck by the party's overwhelming power. Cornered, he noticed the S-rank plate gleaming on Louis' neck and, in desperation, raised his staff to summon a towering golem. Louis charged the beast, but her blade failed to pierce its rocky hide, forcing her to retreat. She called out to Clum for a buff, but Clum, lost in thought, didn't respond. After a second, sharper call, Clum snapped back and cast the spell, empowering Louis to shatter the golem with ease. The bandits were swiftly captured, and Clum apologized profusely for her lapse, her face clouded with guilt. Louis, ever understanding, reassured her and gently asked about her sister, hinting at a deeper concern. The scene shifted back to the present, where Lou had dragged Lloyd to meet her party, claiming she'd found their new white mage. The team Dagas, Cross, and Silica stared in disbelief, assuming she'd failed to recruit anyone. Louis introduced Lloyd. Only to realize she didn't know his name, he shyly clarified it was Lloyd, and she presented him to the group: Dagas the tanker, Cross the archer, Silica the mage, and herself, Louis, the leader. She welcomed him warmly, but Lloyd hesitated, admitting he hadn't agreed to join yet. The team groaned, teasing Louis for dragging him along without explanation, and suggested declining their upcoming quest. Louis refused, insisting someone needed their help, and explained to Lloyd that they were the only S-rank party available, as others were occupied. Lloyd wanted to help but doubted his skills, fearing he'd fall short. Louis, undeterred, proposed a test in the forest to gauge his abilities, assuring him that if he proved capable, everything would be fine. Under pressure from their high expectations, Lloyd was tasked with casting buffs on the entire party, a feat the others deemed impossible. Stunned but determined, Lloyd drew his staff and silently cast 5 distinct buffs, shocking everyone. Louis, curious, asked where his staff came from, and Lloyd casually mentioned using storage magic when she questioned if he'd already cast the buffs. The team was floored by his incantation-less casting. To test the buffs, Louis swung her sword at a tree, felling it instantly, leaving everyone dumbfounded. Lloyd, mistaking their shock for disappointment, apologized for his poor performance, stored his staff, and turned to leave. The party stopped him, incredulous, as he revealed he'd been fired from a hero's party for lacking power. Stunned, they asked why their previous white mage, Clume, had left. Louis explained that Clum's sister, Sylvie, was gravely ill, and the burden of adventuring while caring for her became too much, leading her to step away to avoid hindering the team. Lloyd, intrigued, asked about Sylvie's illness, learning it was a rare condition that turned her body into magic stone. Recalling his master's teachings, Lloyd requested to see her. At Clum's house, she recounted how Sylvie fell ill during a quest to extract magic stone, attacked by a monster, and left unconscious. Lloyd, sensing an unpleasant mana in Sylvie's room, examined her and found her hands and feet transformed into magic stone. He hypothesized that a high-purity magic stone had pierced her, causing the affliction, and confirmed it by inspecting the wound, assuring Clume he could cure her. Despite her doubts, after advanced healing failed, Lloyd began absorbing the corrupted mana while simultaneously healing Sylvia, a complex, self-made spell requiring extraordinary control. Louis, amazed, asked Clume to explain, and she marveled at Lloyd's ability to cast two spells at once with flawless mana manipulation, a feat beyond ordinary mages. Slowly, Sylvie's limbs returned to normal, and she awoke, tears streaming down Clum's face as she held her sister's hands. Clume thanked them profusely, promising a meal in gratitude, and urged Lloyd to care for the party, though he reiterated he wasn't officially a member and felt inadequate. At dinner, the team thanked Lloyd for saving Sylvie, but he brushed it off modestly. Luth playfully smacked him, urging him not to downplay his deeds, and Lloyd, warmed by their acceptance, asked to join the party. They welcomed him joyfully, and Lua called for a celebration, her teammates teasing that she just wanted to cut loose. With Lloyd now among them, the S-rank party stood stronger, ready for their next adventure.
A lively celebration as the party welcomes their newest member, Lloyd, into the fold. The table is piled high with mouth-watering dishes, and Lloyd's eyes practically pop out of his head at the sight. Louis, the party's spirited leader, grins and tells him it's their treat, so he can eat and drink to his heart's content. Lloyd, overwhelmed with gratitude, thanks her and dives in, his face lighting up with pure joy as he savors every bite. The other party members, Cross, Silica, and Dagas, watch in shock as Lloyd devours the food with unmatched enthusiasm. Lloyd can't stop raving about the meal, claiming it has a depth of flavor that makes him question everything he's eaten his whole life. The party, amused, tells him this place is just average, but Lloyd's mind is blown. Curious, Cross asks what kind of food Lloyd grew up with. Lloyd casually drops that he lived with his master, a woman who taught him magic. Her idea of cooking? Whatever grew wild in the garden, mushrooms from the forest, simple roasted meat from beasts they hunted. Silica, shocked, quips, "That's not cooking." Lloyd laughs, admitting that's why he started making their meals, but he's never managed to recreate flavors like the ones he's tasting now. The conversation takes a deeper turn as Louis asks about Lloyd's master, intrigued by the woman who taught him such incredible magic. The others lean in, curious too, and Silica wonders if she's a white mage like Lloyd. He shakes his head, explaining that his master was more combat-oriented, often causing explosions during her magical experiments. Silica asks how she taught him support magic if she wasn't a white mage. Lloyd's response? She's way more incredible than me. Silica's so impressed she declares she'd love to learn from her someday, but Lloyd quickly shuts that down, warning her to avoid it at all costs. A flashback hits, showing the grueling, hellish training his master put him through. Cross chuckles. She must have been a harsh teacher, but Lloyd softened and said she was kind, recalling her kind embrace, revealing a complex bond. The mood shifts as Louis calls for a strategy meeting, catching Lloyd off guard. He didn't even know about the quest. Cross suggests filling him in, and though Louis admits she's terrible at explaining things, she hands the quest notice to Dagas, who takes charge. He explains that their mission is to take down a pack of monsters wreaking havoc on local farms, which appear out of nowhere and trample crops. Lloyd, puzzled, points out that it's unusual for different monster species to form a pack. Silica confirms he's right, and Dagas urges the team to act quickly. Louis, ever the proud adventurer, declares they must help those in need. Cross raises a concern: if they're facing a pack, it could be tough for him and Louis. But Louis's confident, saying it's Silica's time to shine. Silica, however, warns that her wide area attacks consume a ton of mana, and the monster numbers could be an issue. Louis turns to Lloyd, asking if he can use offensive magic. He admits he can, but it's not as strong as a proper mage's. Dagas steps in with a plan. He and Louis will draw the monsters into one spot. Silica will unleash her wide area attack to finish them. Cross will protect Silica and Lloyd will provide support and healing. Silica's thrilled at the idea of Lloyd's support magic, but he downplays his skills, revealing he was kicked out of the heroes' party for being too weak. The team shuts that down, boosting his confidence and telling him to believe in himself. After dinner, the group sets a meeting place for the quest. Dagas teases Louis about not sleeping in, sparking a playful argument when Cross joins in, poking fun at her. Lloyd tries to slip away, but Dagas stops him, pointing out the inn is in the opposite direction. Lloyd admits he can't afford a room, but Dagas hands him some money, saying it'll come out of his quest reward. Lloyd, touched by the gesture, promises to work hard and repay him. At the inn, alone in his room, Lloyd vows to repay the party's kindness. Morning arrives, and the party gathers, ready to head out. Louis notices everyone's empty-handed and is delighted to learn Lloyd storing their belongings using his storage magic. He even stores her things, earning a big smile from her. Lloyd suggests teaching them. The others asked if they could learn it. Lloyd explains that anyone with a bit of mana could do it, though increasing storage capacity takes training. The team's all in, eager to learn, and they set off for the quest. On the way, Dagas points out the demon realm across the mountains, adding a hint of foreboding. As they cross a rickety bridge, Louis, ever the strategist, distracts everyone with random questions to ease their nerves. The party plays along, laughing and answering, but when she asks Lloyd to tell a joke, he admits he doesn't know how. They make it across, and the team encourages him, building his confidence further. In the forest, we get a cryptic glimpse of a mysterious figure praying to a stone that emits unsettling mana, foreshadowing trouble ahead. Back with the party, they set up camp before the quest. Louis and Silica head off to wash up, and Lloyd offers to handle their chores, earning a thanks from Louis. While gathering firewood, Lloyd finds fruits that his master used to train him with. Nostalgic, he picks one, tastes it, and decides to share some with the others. Suddenly, a scream pierces the air. Louis and Silica, while washing, are cornered by a terrifying basilisk. Lloyd springs into action, hitting the monster with a fireball to divert its attention and shouting for the girls to run to the shore. He tosses Silica her staff and Louis her sword, even buffing them with support magic. Louis leaps in, slicing off the basilisk's tail, and the monster roars in pain. Silica told them to take cover and unleashed a massive fireball that defeated the beast in one hit. Silica's stunned and confused by her own power, while Louis praises her. Lloyd blushes when Louis's towel slips, leading to an embarrassed scream and a quick cutaway. Back at camp, Lloyd teaches the party storage magic. He demonstrates by creating an opening with his hand and placing an item inside, but the others struggle. Feeling like a bad teacher, Lloyd blames himself, but the team reassures him it's because they're beginners. Silica suggests chanting storage, and it works. The others follow suit, using incantations since they lack Lloyd's natural talent. By nightfall, they've got the hang of it, and the team's bond grows stronger. During a nighttime lookout, Louis thanks Lloyd for joining the party, but he brushes it off, saying he was desperate for work. Curious, he asks why this quest means so much to her. Louis opens up, revealing that her village was attacked by monsters when she was a child, leaving her as the sole survivor. This quest hits close to home, and she can't stand by when others need help. Lloyd, moved, suddenly stops her and tells her to wake the others. They've spotted the monster pack from the quest notice. As the monsters approached them, Lloyd warned them and moved to retreat. Louis accidentally made a noise, alerting the monsters. A chase ensues, and a spider monster cuts them off. The party pulls their weapons from storage, ready for battle. The monsters attack, snatching Silica's staff, and the team is cornered. Lloyd buffs everyone, shouting for Louis to attack. She leaps into action, taking down one spider, while Cross recovers Silica's staff. Louis defeats another, and Lloyd directs Silica to unleash a fireball, with Cross assisting to burn the remaining monsters. Lloyd apologizes for giving orders, but the team thanks him, saying they'll rely on him moving forward. The next morning, the party packs their gear into storage and heads out, stronger and more united than ever.
That night, Lloyd sat alone in deep thought, concerned about the abnormal monster pack they encountered. He felt the party should stay cautious. Louis approached him and offered to take over the night watch, worried about his health, but Lloyd refused, saying they should conserve their stamina in case something happened. Silica gently told him to speak up if it ever got too tough, and Lloyd nodded in agreement. The next morning, while the party was on the move, Louis seemed troubled. During a rest stop, Lloyd was off scouting the area. Louis approached and asked what he was doing. He calmly replied that he was using the skill search. Louis was surprised that Lloyd could use search magic, but he brushed it off, saying it wasn't impressive since he couldn't scan wide areas. She then asked if there was anything she or the others could do to help. Lloyd said there wasn't anything in particular. Disappointed, Louis walked away, clearly saddened. That night, Louis confided in Silica, saying that although Lloyd was undeniably talented, it felt like he didn't rely on them at all. Silica reassured her, saying it had been the same at first. Lloyd was still getting to know them. It takes time to build trust. Luth admitted that Lloyd seemed to know nothing about the world, yet knew everything about magic. She wondered how he had lived before. Silica told her he would open up one day. Later that night, Douglas asked Lloyd to help him with something while Cross took over the watch. Douglas was setting up a trap, which he explained were Clapper's devices that made noise when monsters approached. He told Lloyd to get some rest tonight. Lloyd hesitated, saying he couldn't use his search magic if he were asleep. Douglas then asked, "Do you not trust us?" Thinking Douglas was talking about the Clappers, Lloyd explained he was just being extra cautious. But Douglas pressed again. Did Lloyd trust the party? Lloyd answered that he did. Douglas reminded him that by doing everything himself, scouting and night watch, it felt like he didn't trust them. Lloyd admitted he was afraid of causing problems for the party if he didn't work hard, recalling something the hero had once told him. But Douglas made it clear the reason they formed a party was to accomplish things together that they couldn't do alone. He encouraged Lloyd to rely on them more. When Lloyd asked if that was really all right, Douglas smiled and said no one thought Lloyd was lacking, he should rest. Lloyd finally agreed, and they returned to camp. In the morning, Lloyd asked Louis to help him draw water. She happily agreed, and they went together. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a cloaked man reported that the Magistones had been set. Lord Michel, a nobleman, inquired about Ishtar's high-ranking adventurers. The cloaked man informed him that most were out on quests, leaving only low-rank adventurers and the hero's party in Ishtar. Michel smirked and said, "Let's see how the hero's party fares on their own." He ordered the cloaked man to inform their client that it was time, and then vanished. Back at the party, something felt off. Since entering the forest, they hadn't encountered a single monster. Suspicious, Lloyd used his search skill again, and this time detected monsters 10 kilometers away. Louis was shocked that could scan that far. Lloyd casually said, "That's not far at all," leaving her speechless. Worried he'd said something wrong, he fell silent. When they reached the quest destination, they discovered an abnormal pack of monsters. Lloyd noted he couldn't sense any other monsters nearby, which was strange. Silica commented that there should have been more spread throughout the forest. Suddenly, Cross noticed a strange black, glowing, stone-like object. Lloyd used a skill and identified it as a Magistone. Louis was surprised he could see it. Lloyd then cast a spell on the whole party so they could all see it too. Silica expressed concern about the black mist seeping out of the stone. Lloyd analyzed it and revealed that it contained the mana of beast folk. His master had once told him some beast folk use unusual spells to control monsters. Just then, Lloyd detected a horde approaching, thousands of monsters of all types. Cross suggested falling back, but Louis feared the nearby residents wouldn't survive. Lloyd declared they should engage, because he had a plan. He asked Cross if he could shoot the Magistone. Cross said he could hit it, but wasn't sure if he could break it. Lloyd told him he'd handle the buffs. Cross readied his bow, and Lloyd cast a bouffon him, his bow, and his arrow. Cross fired, shattering the Magistone in a single shot. Shocked, he asked what Lloyd had done. Lloyd replied that he buffed him, nothing more. Cross was stunned that Lloyd could enhance both weapons and people simultaneously. Lloyd humbly insisted it was Cross who one-shot the Magistone. The moment the Magistone was destroyed, the monsters began turning on each other. Lloyd hoped that would stop the horde, but instead, they charged toward the party. Lloyd told them to wait until the monsters got closer, then signaled Silica to attack. She unleashed Firestorm, incinerating a large portion of the enemy. Louis, stunned, asked what Lloyd did to Silica. He explained he had buffed her spell's power and reduced its mana cost. He asked Silica if she could continue, and she confirmed she had enough mana for about 5 more casts. Lloyd then rushed over to Cross and told him to take down the flying monsters, enhancing his vision. Cross, now fully buffed, began sniping the airborne threats with ease. Lloyd ran back to Silica for the final phase. She warned him she was almost out of mana. He took her hand and transferred his mana directly to her, telling her to finish it. Silica summoned clouds and made it rain, ensuring the forest didn't catch fire from the destruction. Then, completely drained, she collapsed. Dogus caught her and praised her efforts. Louis told Lloyd and Silica to rest, saying they'd take care of the rest. Lloyd, finally relaxing, collapsed and muttered that he'd never been this exhausted in his life. He realized he still had a long way to go. After clearing out the remaining monsters, Lloyd suggested they return to town. Louis said they were too exhausted to move, but Lloyd warned them, whoever is behind this is after Ishtar. A beast woman is kidnapped by a demon general named Grist, her brother chasing after them, but failing to catch up. Meanwhile, Lloyd, deep in thought, reveals to his party that their monster suppression quest was a trap to lure them away from Ishtar, with the monster horde meant to delay their return. Cross points out that the hero and knights are in Ishtar, though, but Degas agrees with Lloyd's hunch, growing more convinced the more he thinks about it. Louis, worried, urges the party to hurry back to be safe. Lloyd pulls out his staff, buffs the party's speed, and takes off at a blazing pace. Luth tries to slow him down, but finds herself speeding up too, as do the other party members. Stunned, she asks what he did, and Lloyd casually explains he buffed their speed. The scene shifts to Lord Michel, lounging confidently, when Grist, the demon general, appears. Grist reports that their vanguard is advancing as planned, and Michel credits that girl, calling her an intriguing individual. Grist, skeptical of not knowing what he is planning, but trusting of Michel's reputation as the demon lord's right-hand man, calls him frivolous and vanishes. A flashback shows Michel giving potions to the kidnapped beast folk, urging her to use her power, hinting at her role in the scheme. Back with the party, they stop to rest and drink potions. Silica asks Lloyd if it isn't so much burden since buffing drains his mana. He shrugs, saying you get used to it with constant use. Curious, she asks if he's used to it before, and Lloyd shares a glimpse of his past. His master once left him in a forest to find his way home as training. The monsters were too strong for a white mage, so he cast endless buffs to survive, forcing him to adapt. Louis, moved, says he's been through a lot, but Lloyd brushes it off, thinking it's common training that proved useful over time. Louis insists his training was far from normal, but Lloyd misunderstands, believing his training wasn't even up to a typical standard, and vows to train harder to support the party. Louis sighs, saying he's got the wrong idea again. But as they resume their journey, Lloyd suddenly stops, causing Louis and the others to crash into him and fall. When they ask why, he reveals he sensed something and tells them to go ahead, but the party insists on sticking together, since it might be dangerous. We see 4 cloaked men chanting before an orb-like object. Lloyd finds a house where he sensed something. Lloyd identifies them as demons, noting that demons were forbidden to set foot in the 3 major nations. Cross, puzzled, asks why Lloyd sounds like he just remembered that, and Lloyd admits he has no memory of his childhood. Silica wonders if he's a war orphan, but Lloyd brushes it off, telling them not to worry. Cross suggests reporting the demons to the knights, but Lloyd told them he detects the same Magistone mana near the demons. Louis agrees they can't let demons run free, and the party, shocked, teases her for acting like a true leader. They search the house, but find it empty. Lloyd uses his search magic, locating the demons underground. He buffs the party, and Silica blasts a hole in the ground with her magic. The underground chamber shakes, interrupting the demons' chanting. Louis draws her sword, demanding answers from one of them, and one of them retaliates by throwing stones with magic. She blocks them with her sword and cross-snipes the attacker. As another demon flees, Silica stops him with a spell, and Dagus shields her from an attack. Louis chases the fleeing demon, with Cross covering her, and she takes down the remaining. She tries to open the door where one of them fled into, but finds it stuck. The fleeing demon seals the beast folk in a cocoon, but Louis breaks the door down, and the demon starts to run. Lloyd tells Louis to intercept him, and she takes a shortcut and Louis intercepts him. The party surrounds him, and when he attacks, Lloyd deflects it and knocks him out. Rescuing the beast folk. They take the beast folk to a house, where Lloyd heals her with advanced magic, impressing Silica and Louis. He credits his master, who constantly tried to improve her spells. The beast folk wakes up, and Louis bombards her with questions and asks her name. She says Claire, but Louis mishears it as Coreja, and Claire goes along with it. Louis asks why the demons held her captive, and Claire hesitates before Lloyd mentions they are adventurers, and he once heard about a beast folk who can control monsters, asking if that's her power. Claire admits it is, and reveals the demons forced her to use it. Dagus warns that if demons seize Ishtar, they could easily invade the continent. The party rushes toward Ishtar, and Lloyd apologizes to Coreja for making her run, but she insists she'd be in greater danger if she is left behind. During a rest, Lloyd senses a massive horde of monsters and a demon army approaching. He told the party to go to the city to prepare for the battle and buffs them. Louis and the others rushed to Ishtar while he and Coreja race toward the enemy, setting up a thrilling cliffhanger with a demon army and Magistones threatening Ishtar.